Which pair of revisions need to be made to the paragraph? So again, we've got the underlined points where we want to figure out if they're correct or not. So we do have a narrower focus in the paragraph to find the mistakes than the other question, but I'm still probably going to read it much the same way to figure out where the mistake is. So let's start with the first sentence. Both Italian gelato and American ice cream are delightful treats to have on a hot summer day, comma, but many people wonder, colon, what is the difference between the two? Okay, so this is perfectly fine, actually. I have a comma, but combining two independent clauses. Both gelato and ice cream are delightful treats to have on a hot summer day, independent clause. Many people wonder, that is an independent clause by itself, which I need before the colon, so that's okay. And if colon can be followed with an examples or a list or an explanation. And by the way, that could be a quotation or a question. In this case, a question. What is the difference between the two? Perfectly fine. So some students might not be used to seeing that and think that might be the mistake. It is not. Sentence 1, delete the comma after wonder, the colon after wonder. No, that's not going to be a change that needs to be made. So A is wrong. Okay. Do we have that anywhere else? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. 2. So 1 is okay. 2. To start with, the butterfat content is much higher in ice cream than it is in gelato, comma, making the Italian treat a wiser decision for people looking to make healthier choices. This looks okay. To start with, that's an infinitive up front, so much like a dependent clause or phrase, I want to separate that up front with a comma. That's okay. Okay, so delete the comma up there. Don't need to do that. F is going to be wrong because it's okay. And by the way, is much higher in ice cream than it is. It is a pronoun, and it refers to the butterfat content, the antecedent, which is singular. That is fine, right? It's agreeing in number and gender. And the verb conjugation is correct there as well. No problem there, so I don't need to change that, okay? Comma, making the Italian, that's just a participle relative clause or phrase at the end of the sentence, separated by commas as they usually are, because they are usually essentially non-restrictive or non-essential. Okay, 2 is okay. 3, additionally, comma, again, kind of like dependent clauses and phrases, standalone words like yes, no, adverbs, transition words up front are separated by commas. Additionally is an adverb, comma, that's okay. So additionally, comma, the mixing process, comma before which, again, we see this several times. You can almost expect to have it on the exam. Which takes a comma before it? That does not take a comma before it. There are two relative pronouns. They have virtually the same meaning in a sentence, but one takes a pronoun because it's non-restrictive, and the other does not take a comma because it is restrictive, okay? So which adds less air to the frozen treat, makes gelato denser than ice cream. Okay, so what's going on here? Additionally, the mixing process makes gelato denser than ice cream. That is an independent clause. So what am I doing here? I'm pulling out my dependent clause here and that as well. So I can read the core sentence. The mixing process makes gelato denser than ice cream. That's a good independent clause with dependent clauses separated appropriately by commas. That's good. 3 is okay as well. Okay, so guess what? The answer must be 4 by default, but let's go ahead and see. Finally, comma, that's okay. Again, an adverb up front, separated by comma. Gelato is served 10 to 15 degrees warmer than ice cream. Okay, that's an independent clause. And I have comma which, so I'm going to have a comma dependent relative clause afterward, which enhances the texture and flavor of the gelato, comma, and allow. Okay, if I have a comma and, that's combining independent clauses, right? Which starts a dependent clause, and allow it to melt more quickly has no subject for allow. So that's, dependent. That's not a full sentence. So this is definitely not combining independent clauses. That's a mistake, okay? I can't have the comma and allow, okay? So texture and the flavor of gelato. So delete the comma after gelato, right? Because we're not combining independent clauses. I need to do that. And change allow to allows. So in simple present tense, a singular subject noun takes the verb allows. A dog allows that to happen. But if it's plural, dogs allow without an S. The noun S is kind of the opposite of the verb S. You get it. Dogs walk, but a dog walks with an S. So gelato is singular, which means it must be allows, to go with that to be the appropriate conjugation for the singular subject noun. That change needs to be made. H is the answer.